नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धे भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं हरि ओम. Yes. Can someone recollect what is it that we have seen last? Inform the link so we can move ahead. Yes, please.
Good morning. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste, Suresh ji. Good morning. Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah. Can someone recollect what is it that we saw last? We have to form the link so we can move ahead. Ramesh ji, Suresh ji, Manisha ji, anybody? Anything you can recollect.
We talked about mainly consciousness in this chapter. Towards the end of this secret chapter of
Ji.
Gita,
Yes, sir.
it was told that I am present in every, divine is present in every individual, and only you need to recognize. Recognition can come through realization of consciousness, higher level of consciousness.
Ji, sir.
Consciousness is, there is also, we should not get trapped into there is a concept of ahankara, and we should be aware of highest pada. You mentioned that.
Absolutely.
And how the conscious, how we can become conscious is way to start from ourselves first. We need to experience it, and to see the truth we need to see within ourselves first.
Absolutely.
And then the concept biggest takeaway is Shara and Akshara you talked about.
Ji, sir.
Destructible, perishable, and non-perishable.
Yes.
And finally, Ananda, cryptic wisdom you talked about. Another takeaway.
Ji, sir. Ji, sir.
Through knowledge and understanding only we can reach the highest level of enlightenment. You mentioned that.
Yes, sir.
That is told by Krishna.
Yes, sir.
And then we have to move to the next chapter now.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
This is my understanding. I may not be right.
It's a perfect summary, sir. Yes, sir. Thank
Takeaways.
Yes, sir.
Takeaways I took. That's all.
That is the most important thing, sir. Yes, sir. Right, sir. Would you want to add anything more, sir? Or it is complete?
Divine.
Yes.
Your divinity you talked about. How to recognize divine srushti.
Yeah.
Divinity. You gave some examples also.
Fine, sir. Fine, sir. All right, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, I think Suresh ji has formed that. Hari Om, sir. Hari Om, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So, as we saw, Krishna in the Gita has revealed. He started off this very interesting manner, the 15th Adhyaya of the Gita, with an inverted Ashwatha. Then he spoke about this inherent divinity, this divinity that is present everywhere. This divinity that is beyond what we consider limits of the Kshara and the Akshara. All of us belong to the Shara Vishwa. We all have our limitations. We are by default limited. This is why we are part of Shara. But there is something which is beyond us. We call it Akshara. But again, there is something which is beyond these two limits. Transcending the limits of logic also is important. Transcending the limits of our mind also is important. In Isha Upanishad, we have limits of Vidya and Avidya. Highest truth is even beyond these two. Means if there is Vidya at one end, Avidya at the other, then we see this transcendence. Yes, Ramesh, wants to add something? Yes, sir.
No. He was even talking about the 4 types of foodstuffs available, and Krishna is present even in the aids in digestion. That is the point I want.
Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva, as Krishna said, I am the force that is bringing about what we can say, the digestion also. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. So the wisdom is in recognizing the universal divinity. Many people do not recognize the divine in this world with the hopes of realizing the divine elsewhere. Where are you going to realize when you're supposed to do this? It's like a child has been sent to school and he says, no, ma, I don't like school. I want to go back home. It's not some, there's a reason, isn't it? So this Srishti also, we are a part of it because we have to recognize and experience the inherent divinity. And Krishna says that is why the yogis recognize the divine. They serve the divine every single day, every single way. Has anybody heard of this Prana Pratishtha? What is Prana Pratishtha? Anyone?
Giving life to a deity.
Yes, sir. So your audio is very soft, so I'm not very, it's not very clear, sir. Could you speak louder, sir?
Are you able to hear me now, sir?
Yes, sir, but it's very soft, sir. I do not know if it's a problem at my end or it's. But
I will exit and once again log in, sir. You can please go ahead.
Acha, sir, fine, sir. All right, thank you, sir. Yes, anybody would like to share something about Prana Pratishtha? Anything? Have you heard of this somewhere?
In a temple, they do the ceremony of putting invoking the deity to the presence in the deity, the idol.
Yes, so it becomes
And then
Vigraha
they do it every 12 years.
every 12 years. So it has to be re-established. Means, what does that signify, sir? What does it imply? Prana Pratishtha is done. Because artists make different murtis, isn't it? Different murtis. One which is having Prana Pratishtha, how does one distinguish that from a murti of an artist? Is there something specific?
I guess also the chants and everything that they're invoked, it's the
So the divine is invoked inside of in that murti. It becomes the Vigraha after the Prana Pratishtha. Yes, sir. All right, sir. Ramesh ji was adding something? Yes, Ramesh ji?
Yeah, that's what, sir. I was trying to tell you that I was trying to tell that life is given into the deity with a lot of care and devotion. The sculptor carves the Vigraha out,
Yeah.
and with the divine mantra being chanted, life is infused and it is made practical. That's what I want to say.
Yes, yes. Anybody knows about the story of Ekalavya? How he learned from Dronacharya?
Yeah, Sushruti.
Something
He
similar
was,
to.
yeah, he was.
Yes, Ramesh ji? So I think the audio is broken. Yeah. So Ekalavya's relation with Dronacharya.
Dronacharya and bowed to him and learned in front of him. And he became equally a very good archer as Arjuna. That is what I want.
Yes, yes, yes. So it was not just some murti of Dronacharya. For him, it was like he has done Prana Pratishtha and he began to learn, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Guru Tattva from there started teaching him. So yeah, we have heard that that shows us that yes, pujaris will do Prana Pratishtha. They can do in Vigraha and make the Vigraha conscious. Supreme Court also recognizes rights of a Vigraha. Means it's like according to law, according to our constitution, a separate entity, a legal entity is there with own rights. Everybody has to follow the rights of a particular Vigraha because no more is it a non-living aspect. We have recognized, we have ordained the divinity in the Murti. Now it has become a Vigraha, and as Chandresh said, it has to be even renewed so that that divinity remains Jajwalya. So that is one aspect. One more interesting aspect we saw about Ekalavya also. Means consciousness has been awakened, and so he's begun to learn. Can we say this can be done by everybody? This what we can say, this entire technique of Prana Pratishtha, can it be done by everybody? Yes?
Yes, it can be done.
It can be
Yes,
done.
it can be done.
All right. Ramesh ji. Chandresh ji also agrees there, sir? Yes, yes. Absolutely. So maybe we cannot go to a temple because that temple has the rules of that place. So there, the one who is authorized should be able to do it. But I think many of us in our homes, many times people celebrate this Ganesh Chaturthi. What happens then? For 10 days, there is no guest inside. It is our Ganesha has come, that we become conscious. The Prana Pratishtha is done. When I was very young, my sister and I used to fight, but the safe zone was in front of Ganesha, because there no fighting, we had been told. So we quickly run, and inside that room, both of us would become quiet because no, not in front of Ganesha. So this aspect of becoming conscious also, that is very important. This can allow us to receive the divine consciousness, which we have already learned in Vibhuti Darshana. It is there everywhere, in all creatures, in all things, great, small. So this aspect of becoming conscious, of ordaining the divine, is so important. Just as we see about objects, we say it can be done in Murti, we can do that in different, means Murti of the Deva. Here it is Murti of Dronacharya. There a kind of Prana Pratishtha has been done. What about living beings? More so, what about ourselves? They say Riddhi Sannivishtam, isn't it? In the heart is where the divine resides. Can we touch our heart and awaken the divinity the same way a Shishya is awakening in the, what we can say, Murti of Guru? The same way a Bhakta is awakening in the photo of the Aradhya or Ishta. Can we, in the same way, touch our hearts and awaken the divinity? Is my question. Anybody? Is it possible? Anybody?
Yes, it is possible when you surrender.
Okay, Karthik ji says possible. But then it looks like a liability, is it? That's too much. If I awaken the divinity, I'll have to change and mend my ways a lot. This type of answer I had got from someone. Okay, I don't want to awaken that much divinity. But I don't think that is required, isn't it, Karthik ji? What do you say, sir? Is it very possible to become conscious?
It is possible, but it requires an element of understanding to surrender and
Yeah,
to accept.
to accept. It is a little. But if we try,
Aspiration to touch and awake, connect,
yes, sir. Yes, Chandresh ji, what did you say, sir?
I
Last?
was saying aspiration needs to begin to want to do that, and then
It happens.
practice and
Uh,
sincerity and surrender, of course.
Ji, sir. I think Chandresh ji has said beautifully. Yes, we should have that aspiration first. Yeah, I want that to happen. I want that to manifest. I want to awaken the divinity. That aspiration also is sufficient. The rest is the responsibility of the divine, isn't it? Karmanye vadikaraste mam phaleshu kadachana. We can focus on the karmas, no need to worry about the consequences. And another two aspects that Chandresh ji talked about. You see, have sincerity and surrender. Just as Karthik ji also said the same thing. Yes, with that it is possible. And that is where we actually somehow in the last part, we had talked about this, that somebody who has done this, who has had this aspiration, how does he live? How does he breathe? How does he walk every day? The 19th shloka. Yo mameva sammudho janati purushottamam tasarvavid bhajati mam sarvabhavena bharata. So you have ordained the divinity, you have recognized the divinity. And what do you do then? What will you do? Love will outpour naturally, and you don't stop the flow. That is all what needs to do. My gnosis complete. He who has attained myself as the supreme self, he who has ordained, he loves me with everything he has in every way. As per his own nature, he adores me every day. Sarva bhavena bharata means whatever bhava that person is, the bhav, whatever that person feels, that intimate relation. Somebody may say this is right, this is wrong. It's different. It is not. It's a personal relation between the Aradhya and the Shishya, the Aradhya and the Bhakta. That connection the person should be able to offer. Krishna goes on, as we saw in the 16th Adhyaya, then he says, I've shared to you this thing, this secret. This secret is going to reveal everything that you need to reveal. It needs to be revealed in your life. This is the secret that will manifest all truths. Everywhere we see the same aspect of Krishna saying bhakti. Bhakti awakens, you get the consciousness to learn, you get the consciousness to grow also. As Krishna says, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. So we are ready to move into what is this next Adhyay, Adhyay 16, which is the Adhyay of Divine and Demonic. Krishna begins. He speaks. Abhayam Sattva Sanshuddhir Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi Danam Tamascha Yajnascha Swadhyayastapa Arjavam. Fearlessly persevering for the inner purification, engaging in the yoga of knowledge with dedication, holding the senses in control by selflessly giving, engaging in sacrifice, asceticism, and scriptural reading. Krishna says, Abhayam, this is a beautiful aspect. Fearlessness. Well, fearlessness is the first thing which comes when a person is on the path of the divine and has become conscious. The first step, one of the great qualities that manifests is fearlessness. You are ready to stand for what? For the truth, for your ideal, fully conscious that there is a Abhaya Hasta behind you, a hand on your back, the hand of the divine, the touch of the God, the hand of the Guru, the shelter of the divine. When that is there, what are you going to be worried of? It said, no, Jako Rakhe Saiya, Mar Sake na Koi. Who is there to stop you? When God is for you, who will be against you? Well, that is one of the qualities. And striving for inner purification. Is there a limit to the, realization, or you can say purification of one's consciousness? Is there an upper limit? When we as human beings, we are full of so many flaws. We try to get better, isn't it? All the time. We see our own flaws, we feel bad about it. We say, I don't want this. Somewhere in our heart of hearts, we realize what is not good. So we try to change it, try to remove it. But is there a limit? Is there an upper limit to getting better? Yes? Or is there is no limit?
No
There
limit.
is no limit.
No limit at all. Yes, that is why we had these great Kabir Das, Tulsi Das, continuously trying to raise their consciousness, go higher and higher. बुरा जो देखन मैं चला बुरा न मिलिया कोई जो दिल खोजा अपना मुझसा बुरा न कोई. These were not bad people. These were like great saints. We respect them even today. At their times also they were exalted. And yet they are saying, I have not seen a worse person than me. Just like how gold also needs to be purified, isn't it? Impurity, it may be looking brilliant, but the goldsmith who is expert can say, yes, it needs more purification. I can see small amount of impurity. I don't want even that. That is the approach. So we're seeing some very nice qualities. One is the fearlessness. Second is the striving for purification. Engaging in yoga of knowledge with dedication. So this nishtha is something which is very important. With dedication, engaging in yoga. Because what happens many times? We engage, then disengage. Engage, disengage. Cycle goes on. Can we ever go ahead that way? No, it is not. A discipline is required. A dedication is required. Little by little. It doesn't matter. Like it is said, isn't it? Just spend 18 minutes per day doing something. One thing regularly. Do it for 400 days and just watch what happens. What that discipline will do a lot of difference. This becomes a sadhana only. It becomes like a anushthan. I am going to do this no matter what. Sun, rain, whatever is the situation. This part I will never waver from. It is as simple as that. Yoga sadhana also must be like that. Not, people many times try to do yoga sadhana with a full stomach. They first ensure the stomach is full and relax, and then do it like additional dessert after eating a full meal. It's not like that. It is the whole course. You have to do it regularly. So that dedication is important. Holding all the senses in control. Again, dhamma or self-control, control of the senses. Can a yogi be controlled? Yes. 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 Can a Can the yogi afford to become angry and lose control of the indriyas? Not at all. Not at all. That is actually against the sadhana only. Imagine if the yogi had vacha siddhi and then gets angry and starts speaking something and that starts becoming true. What a big liability it will be. But remember this thing that yoga sadhana raises us our consciousness to, sometimes what you speak will also start happening. But then you should be careful what you speak. You should be careful what you wish for. You should be careful what you aspire for. All of this can happen only when you are in full control of the senses. Otherwise, there's no difference between somebody who is doing yoga sadhana and another person who is drunk and has no control of his indriyas. There's no difference at all. So first aspect is to have control also. Selflessly giving. This is one more aspect and it comes naturally. I think all we have to do is look at our parents, mother or father. They have been giving to us all the time, isn't it? That bhava, that is there, selflessly. Or do they calculate? Wait, I have served you 5 chapatis today. I'm making a note in my diary. I am going to take it back. I am going to ask for return. And then at the age of 40 or 50, you will get a big bill from parents for raising us. No, it's not, isn't it? It is actually a selfless action. And most of the time, anything that is done selflessly is always beautiful. Anything that is done selflessly is something you relish, something you enjoy. Imagine a friend comes and tells you something without asking. You're not wanting it and still you get it. It becomes very special, isn't it? It is where that is where you realize it. And so in sadhana also, we must have that habit of selflessly giving. Giving to whom? To the divine. Swaha. Krishnarpanam. Krishna Havir, Krishnagnav, Krishnahutam, Krishnaiva Tena, Gantavyam, Krishna Karma Samadhinam. All offered to the divine. Otherwise, it's just a batter and it's not pure or it's not true. A very old friend of mine suddenly called me after a very long time. I said, "Hi, nice speaking to you. What do you want?" He said, "Hey, why are you speaking like this? I just called to ask you." I said, "No, no, sorry. I didn't mean to hurt or anything. I just thought you wanted something. So I thought, let's come to the topic." He said, "No, no, no. I just wanted to find out how are you." All of that. I said, "Okay, that's fine." I was also surprised. Ki, wow, he's actually called me without anything. And next, the cat came out of the bag. He said, "No, no, I wanted actually in the college I'm there. I want a particular recommendation. Can you just help me contact this person? This teacher will write for me if he knows you personally. So you please tell about me." And that was a funny situation. See, again, there's no, what we can say, Shuddha Bhava there. He could have very well asked it before and I would have done the same thing. But unnecessarily, the selfishness keeps coming everywhere when it's not required. We can be free and we can be selfless also. Engaging in sacrifice, yajna must be done. Ritual yajna, you can do it, brilliant, do it. But the spirit of the yajna, the spirit of sacrifice must be experienced. You look at the world, nityam yajne pratishtitam. We are always in a state of sacrifice. Most of the sacrifices are not recognized, most of them are not appreciated also. Any such sacrifice which is keeping us safe, which is keeping us free, but we are not conscious of it. Anybody? Can you think of some sacrifice done by someone which is helping us, but we're not aware of it at all? Anybody? A clue? What happens at the borders who are patrolling? Anybody? Yes, sir.
Devoting time for good work.
Okay, devoting time for good work. That's something which is sometimes it's enjoyable also. It is a ananda as well. Sometimes sacrifice becomes a joy. But yes, Ramesh ji, yes, sir. You were saying, sir.
I was concurring with that view of the defense personnel.
Of the defense, isn't it? And you were saying, sorry? Yeah. All right.
I was concurring with the view of the defense personnel only.
Yes, the defense personnel. Absolutely. Look at that. Youngsters. Jai Ma Bharati. They say that and they are ready to make the supreme sacrifice. For whom? For a bunch of civilians who don't really care about them at all. There's no guarantee they're going to, people are going to just gossip, people are going to talk bad behind them back. Sometimes people leave their villages. Parents have nothing also and they don't do calculation. They offer. And do you know, this is how we have become free. Sacrifices of crores and crores of such great heroes. These heroes have kept our Sanatan Dharma is alive today too. It will remain alive because the divine wish is there. But we cannot undermine the spirit of sacrifice, that was done to keep these texts, to keep the truth, which was, attacked by the lower forces. So again, sacrifice is essential. It is important. Sacrifice makes you. They say no pain, no gain, isn't it? Something like that. Without really sacrificing, you will never grow. Sacrifice. And what can you sacrifice? Try sacrificing all. You see, you have no vulnerability then. When you have nothing to lose, what's going to happen? Such a person is absolutely free, free from every worry, free from every anxiety, and directed and clear in the mission. Because the mission is again not a selfish one, it is a higher one. So again, identify with the higher mission, sacrifice to the divine. That's what Krishna is talking. Another aspect is tapasya is required. The very word in Sanskrit, tapasya, tapa is also meaning heating, isn't it? So what is the need for it? Well, without that, you cannot do anything. Water, can you boil just like that? Kicho, theek hai, 2 minutes water, I want to boil, then only it will start boiling, isn't it? Otherwise, say I start on, switch it off. Start, switch off every 10 seconds. Will the water boil? No, that heat needs to be there. Something like that. Our sadhana also needs to have that tapa. Otherwise, it just becomes superficial. It becomes mechanical. It gives what we can say temporary satisfaction. Again, the bonds of Indriyas start attacking us. Mana, Buddhi, Ahankar keep playing their game. We lose the connect of Ananda. We have to remember that Surya. Our tapasya should be for remembering that brilliant warmth. Let me experience that warmth, and you will see this is a warmth which will not hurt you, which will not harm you. As in the Marathi song, it is there. Martanda je tapahina. Means it is a jvalanta, it is a fire, and yet it does not cause a fever. Something like that. That tapasya is required, and scriptural reading, and that is why it is said, study the scriptures. Let the scriptures guide you. What is the reason? It's not just for a ritual, or it's not because you want to uphold a tradition. Because people have sacrificed, you should not do any favor to anybody and you are reading it. Scriptural reading must be done to understand, to practice, to bring about a transformation. What we can learn from the scriptures, we can also bring it into our action as well. And that is why scriptural reading is also important. Because the reading is good. Better than reading is understanding. And better than understanding is practicing. But for that, the base is the Shastra study something, some book we must learn. Otherwise, we will never grow. And we have a great set of Adhyatmic scriptures to raise our consciousness also. Pick it up, read whenever you want, whenever you get the time. Krishna goes on further. He says, Ahimsa, Satyama Krodha, Tyaga Shantira Paishanam, Daya Bhuteshvalu Luptvam, Mardavam Rira Chapalam. Bereft of anger, practicing non-violence and truthfulness, self-giving, absence of fault-finding and peacefulness, devoid of greed, holding a global compassion, modesty, tenderness, and an unswerving determination. So again, anger, becoming free of anger. We should not have anger because again, kama esha, krodha esha, rajo guna samudbhava. We saw rajas. Rajas is the force which is causing anger inside. In anger, we forget what is dhamma, we forget what is adhamma. Like Don Quixote fighting against windmills, but imagining he's fighting against dragons. Everybody must have heard of this story, isn't it? The story of Don Quixote. I think in school, maybe my time it was there. When what we can say delusional person goes on a donkey, thinks he's on a horse, and he thinks he's a royal knight and he's fighting dragons, when actually he is going on the horse and fighting a windmill, and somehow he has got a companion also who would accompany with him, so he would call him his assistant, and together they would go on expeditions which are actually not true. So something like that, Ahankar makes us get into unnecessary battles. We think we are doing Dharma's work and we are holding Ahankar. No, it's not. My question is, do we have to have anger? Do we have to be angry about injustice also? Is anger necessary? Yes,
it is necessary.
Ramesh ji.
Yes, it is necessary.
Your
At
audio is
times,
unclear, sir. Maybe without the device, if you try speaking, or maybe I couldn't hear you, sir.
Very.
Now it's very clear. Yes, sir.
Yes, it is very necessary.
Okay,
No?
anger is necessary, is what Ramesh ji is saying. Okay. Anybody concurs with Ramesh ji? Oh, this
Yes.
Suresh ji says yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Ramesh ji and Suresh ji are saying yes, but Geeta is saying no. What do we do now? So, but if you see, remember the most Ugra Rupa of the Vishwa Rupa, when Arjuna was getting the darshana, what did Krishna say to Arjuna? Become angry. Look at this Duryodhana. Feel that frustration, feel that anger, feel that hate for Duryodhana. Or he said, don't have any of this. Become bereft of hate and become.
Krishna himself could not control the anger when he was fighting with Bhishma.
I gave that example. But was it angry
Ah.
Krishna who had let himself go to anger? Or it was a Gunatit Krishna who was beyond the Rajas Guna?
He was desperate. Desperate.
No, sir. My question, sir. You please listen to this.
Ah.
Rajaguna is causing anger, isn't it, sir? Rajoguna.
Yes.
We see that
Yes.
Sattva Guna has limitations. You cannot be always goody-goody or people will take you for a ride. But now, what Krishna did to Bhishma, was it a sign of a cranky man? What he was doing? Cranky, irritated, frustrated, or it was somebody who was very calm and cool even in that moment?
He was calm and cool,
He
but
was calm and cool. So we'll not call him.
he knew that his goal is not getting achieved. So he
Yes.
was feeling the
Yes.
feeling the self
Yes.
helplessness.
So, for example, now as parents, sir, you must have raised children, isn't it, sir? So,
Yes.
when the child is very small and does not understand a language also, sometimes you have
Yes.
made some noises to make a child understand, "Ken, don't go that way, you will get hurt." You must have made
Yes.
some sounds or anything, isn't it?
Yes.
Very frustrated when you were making that. Frustrated completely. It will not
No,
work
it's
because the child will again get scared. More than one mother, she said, my mother, means that mother told while she was narrating her experience with her daughter, she actually had tears because she said her child was learning to cycle and the child fell down. She immediately got angry and screamed at the child. And she said, I saw horror in the face of the child, not because the child fell down, but that horror was against me.
it is for protection,
Yeah.
protecting the child
But
from
the mother,
getting harm.
correct. Yes, sir. But the mother cried while on live on session. She
Yeah.
said, "My child got more afraid of me than getting hurt. Somewhere I am
Yes.
wrong." She felt that. It was her sakshatkar. So sometimes this anger, which we feel it is required, but it controls us. We have to go to a higher state where Gunatit is there. Anger is not touching. Storm is like how is a storm? Storm is quiet on the inside, isn't it?
So you mean to say we need to have a controlled anger?
Control, absolutely, sir, absolutely.
Huh?
You cannot lose. Anger is when you lose
Ah.
control of the indriyas. You get cranky, you start speaking wrong things, you add oil to the fire. Instead, control that fire, use the heat of that fire for the right work. Yes, sir.
Hariom ji.
Hariom. Somebody wants to add something?
Yeah. Like when we see some injustice or usually we can see this commonly in the school times when the teachers scold children.
Yeah.
Like have to show some anger, but from inside they are not angry.
Yes.
They need to have this fierce rupa, like God takes in every avatara, like fearfulness to uphold justice.
Yeah.
Understand the justice, but not the anger.
Anger should
Okay.
be there, isn't it?
Inside, we are very calm, as Krishna does. Inside, it is very calm, and we must make the indriyas open.
Yeah.
For that, sometimes we have to make the voice louder.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, listen to me, like that.
Yes.
Then then they will listen. The ignorance, to break that ignorance, we must sometimes show anger. It's
But
not
not
from
feel
rajas.
on their
It's not
heart.
rajas. It's from the intellect.
Yes, yes,
Wake
yes.
them from their sleep. Wake them from their ignorance. That's
Yeah,
what we have to need.
absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely, Surajit. Thank you. It's very wonderfully said. Because Krishna has also told in the Gita, isn't it? Dyutam chalayadam asmi. For the cunning, I am, means he should learn that you cannot be taken for a ride. Many times what happens, politicians very easily utilize people's anger. They utilize anger for what? They connect with your source of anger immediately. And then they use that anger for furthering their own narrative, for their own objective, which is sometimes selfish. But you don't realize you've taken for a ride. Somebody in Bangalore got caught, one young lady, she got caught for throwing stones and torching of buses because suddenly it was some years back, I think almost 4 years ago. I was very surprised to hear that news. What has happened? She does not even know why she threw the stone in anger because somebody had mob mentality, you say, isn't it? She was brought, everybody said, and it seems she was given something for it. One plate of biryani. She got caught on CCTV, and one plate of biryani became too costly for her, and she ended up causing a lot of loss, means lakhs and lakhs of property damage also. All of this over what? Uncontrolled. It's like when you allow anger, you are saying, come on, use me. Anybody. I am very cheap. You can utilize my I am means anybody in the sense the forces. Then there are forces of destruction, there are forces of the divine. Here you become vulnerable. What Krishna is talking about, that is why anger control is required. But people mistake it. People mistake it, meaning you become indifferent. Nowhere. Detachment also does not mean in becoming indifferent. Not getting angry also does not mean becoming indifferent. But it is difficult to control. I can fully relate to this aspect about how can you not be angry on the inside. Your heartbeat will change, palpitations will start when something wrong happens. But at that moment also control it. Don't let the anger speak. Then you will be able to speak wiser words. Then you will be able to, like Krishna was reacting with a smile. He's hero. Arjuna says, I don't want to fight. And we see Prahasanniva Bharata. The word is, he's smiling in the middle of the battlefield. Look at his situation. He has given Narayani Sena to the other side. He wants Arjuna, who is doing the right aspect, to win. But his hero only is now saying, no, I don't want to fight. But even then, he says he becomes calm. Means Desha, Kala, Paristhiti, all one cannot forget just because a moment of anger is coming. And that is why sadhana also is going to get wasted if you allow anger to come inside. Practicing non-violence, ahimsa. Ahimsa is also important. Ahimsa is even plucking a flower, it must be plucked with ahimsa. If you pluck it with force, brute force, what's going to happen? You're going to unnecessarily pluck other leaves also. Can a soldier show ahimsa is my question. A soldier on the battlefield. Can ahimsa be the heart of a warrior?
No.
Ramesh says no. All right. I have had a good fortune of watching from close a person who has 42 kills to his name. And he appears to be a ahimsavadi all the time. Everywhere he moves around. Somebody on the road reacted very badly, and I thought now he is not going to spare because I knew his background. But he shook his hand like this and he said, just quietly. I was surprised. Why did he not show he is a man or he's powerful enough or he's strong enough? This person is actually, he says, no, that's the line of duty. And that time also, we don't have hatred. He said, after the soldier has fallen, he's also, and that's all. That is the time where our enmity gets over. He says, I've had breakfast next to the body of a terrorist. But the heart is calm, the heart is peaceful. So this tendency to injure without reason, tendency to hurt, is not required. That is ahimsa. Doing your duty, it's not himsa. And for a warrior, same way as it is not for a doctor who's trying to kill the cancer cells or doing a surgery to remove what is not required. That's not himsa. That is dharma. Upholding dharma is different, but most of the time, most of the himsa we see in debates only, isn't it? Or even in street fights, you will see that language, the dialogue, but actual action or karma, nothing comes out. Don't you know if you trouble me for, you don't know what I'll do. The other person says, you don't know what I will do. Only violence, only anger in their voice. But after a while, you see they just walk away on different paths. Because this is something which is important. And Krishna says ahimsa is a divine quality, which is unnecessarily underappreciated. Because it is like Duryodhana was easily appearing more powerful, isn't it? In the start of the battle. Because the lower forces, they sometimes appear more strong immediately, but they are not. We have to be careful that we don't get carried away by them. Truthfulness, Satya Vachan, truthfulness has to be spoken by us. Who is going to check? We have to check. Not because somebody is watching us. We should be true to ourselves. Otherwise, we don't have a foundation for our existence on. Self-giving. Let us be ready to surrender. Surrender to the divine, surrender to the Guru, surrender to your Ishta, surrender to your cause, surrender to your mission. Then it will be different. Absence of fault finding. This is also a quality. Imagine among the divine natures, not finding faults. What is easier, to find faults or to not find faults? Anybody? Yes, Karthik. Yes, sir.
It's easier to find faults, but
In
I
others,
think it's human nature to find faults.
yes, and in others more specifically than ourselves, isn't it? If our
True.
dear one comes and says something bad about us, you immediately, I don't want to talk to you in this birth. Next 9 births also, I'll not talk to you. That kind of dialogue comes in. Because this is a nature, this is a lower nature actually, finding faults. Easily we try to, like you go to a garden, instead of appreciating the beauty of the garden, imagine a person going, see, this garden is having dog poop here, or this garden is having dirt there. You go to the garden for experiencing the joy of life, isn't it? The joy and experience. But instead you're wasting your time searching for what are the flaws. See, I don't like these people, they are like this. What happens? Ananda is gone, isn't it? Life is so short. And one more thing happens is people feel when you find faults in somebody, you become greater. Arey, I found a fault in that big person. Does that make you greater? Finding fault in anybody else? No, not at all.
No,
Manisha
sir,
ji.
because
Yeah.
we are in this earth for our development, for self development.
Yes.
Now, if we find fault in ourselves, then we have a scope of modifying, changing ourselves, and self developing our own self. Now, if we find fault in others, we are pointing out the mistakes of others. Now, if he takes it in a positive way, only
Yeah.
then his progress is being
Sure.
catered
Yes.
to.
Yeah.
So here, instead of finding fault in others, it is advisable that we find fault in our own self so that we progress. And we also learn to see the same defects which is present in the others in our own self. Then, until we refine ourselves, we have no right to kind of
Right.
uh, point finger at others. Then also we are silenced. By doing this, I have experienced, I silenced myself by telling, let me rectify those defects in myself first before I try to point finger at others.
Absolutely. And what a beautiful point Manisha ji has raised. Because when you find fault in somebody, you are providing an opportunity for that person to progress. If the person takes it, that person may progress. But what will happen to us? We are going to remain where we are only, isn't it? Can
Yes,
the
that
world
is the
become better
primary.
by finding faults? Array, I found faults in 500 things and did Loka Sangraha. Can Loka Sangraha happen with finding faults? Unless you are a quality control engineer. Otherwise, it will not, isn't it? Yes, Karthik ji.
But
Yes.
there is an aspect where you can learn from other people's
Yeah,
mistakes
we
or
can learn
faults.
from, yes, but what I want to say specifically is like, say a friend of mine and I, we were listening to a song, a beautiful song sung by somebody. This person suddenly said, hey, मुझे कुछ पसंद नहीं आया, इसका सुर जमा नहीं, is not good, it's not nice. And I was like, Arey, wow, this person is able to go deep and understand. I was just enjoying the song. So I thought maybe it's good. 5 minutes later, this person started singing. And when he started singing, I was like, hey, Bhagwan, I thought he is a great singer. And then now No, I'm talking about not finding faults, so I'll not try to say anything. But in this example also, just it was crazy. The one who is speaking so much about somebody else is himself or herself not following anything. Because it's very easy to find fault. It gives a kind of ahankar boost. When you find faults in somebody else, you feel satisfied. Yeah, I have found that fault. But as Manisha ji says, you don't progress. You will allow somebody else the opportunity if that person is here. But most of the time, nobody finds fault in front of another person also. In front of them, they will not say that. After the person goes, they spend hours talking about. It's of no use. It's gossip. It's waste. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of sadhana's moments also. So again, that is not required. Peacefulness, yes. Why do we have a Shanti mantra? Because peace is required. Ashantasya kutah sukham. Without Shanti, Gita only asks this question. Without Shanti, where can be peace? Where can peace be found? There is no Shanti on the inside. Where will I look at world peace then? World is going to get disturbed. World is going to suffer. I don't see any hope for the future. I see the hope inside of you, no? Become quiet. When there is no Shanti inside, where will you find Shanti outside? Everywhere it looks like Pralaya is only going to take place every moment, but it is not taking place because there is a force higher working. So these are all qualities. Divide up greed. Greed also, I want this, I want that. No, don't have greed. Again, selfish desires are not required. Pray, pray, aspire, aspire to the divine, aspire for more, to serve the divine. But don't let that aspiration turn into greed. Look at what happened to Ravana, the great Bhakta. What happened to him? His sadhana, he got derailed because of greed only. Greed was something I want, my ahankar, everything becomes the I must disappear. The compassion, let your heart beat for somebody else also, isn't it? Why does it beat only for Mama Kaha Pandavaschaiva? My children, my son, my daughter. Can you not feel the same thing for a neighbor? No, no, that neighbor has a different ideology which is not matching mine, which is not conforming to mine. So I cannot feel compassion. No, no, it's not required. You don't have to be like that. You don't have to hate a wrongdoer at all. Don't accept the wrong action. Don't ever accept the wrong action. Ensure you get insulated from the consequences of wrong action. Maybe perform actions so that they become deterrent, so that the wrongdoer will never dare to perform the wrong action. But while doing all of this, you cannot have hate. Otherwise, it's again a waste, complete waste. You create unnecessary sanskaras in the atmosphere for yourself, which allow nothing but undivine forces to manifest. Krishna goes on, modesty, tenderness, unswerving determination. Again, sensitivity, that is something. Damliji was always known as like a barometer of forces also. His guru would say that so sensitive, he can understand. They would say he could even communicate with a dead person. That was what his guru had told about him. I was so surprised to hear it. But sensitive means you're able to understand. He can identify something is wrong. I may be talking something, and then the Amliji will say, this is not you speaking, some force is talking to you, through you. And I'm like, oh God, what have I done? But it has already happened, isn't it? Can words which are spoken be taken back? No. Like that, actions which are done under the forces, you cannot do anything but face the consequences. Can somebody who was a very nice person but got caught for drunk driving say, I'm a very good person, sorry, I was driving under influence? You have done an action, you've injured somebody, you have injured property, now you have to bear the consequences. It is like that. That is why this adhyaya is so important. It's talking about the game of forces. There are divine forces at play, there are undivine forces. And this first few shlokas are talking about the wealth of the divine forces. And this is the wealth, these are the qualities. If you look at the 1, 2, 3, these 3 shlokas are important just because if you practice these 3, you are already moving ahead on sadhana. The goddess, the Devi, how do you understand the Devi? I cannot see the goddess fully with my naked eyes, but I can identify her presence in qualities. Humility, tenderness. Humility is the most ignored quality. It does not put up a show like others. And so people don't recognize it, but it is a divine trait. And that is what modesty must be there. You must have that modesty. So every single shloka, 1, 2, 3, though they are just 3, they're actually absolutely the height of sadhana if we can identify it. And you will be able to use this as a sopana or ladder for higher consciousness. Bring this into your life, bring this into your living, then enter. Now comes the Asuri part. And interestingly, this Adhyay, which is about divine and demonic, has only 3 shlokas about divine nature. Remaining is demonic nature. Why? Anybody? Why is Krishna teaching Arjuna? Does Arjuna have to become little demonic? Or what do you think is the logic behind it? Why do you think it's important? Because in 3 shlokas, the entire description of the Devi Guna has been explained. The divine qualities. Why? Why do you think? Anybody?
5 Pandavas, much they can overpower the 100 Kauravas. So
Okay.
if the Sattva Guna, just 3 shlokas comprising of all good qualities is much more powerful than
Only Sattva Guna or Gunatita is our objective?
no Gunatita.
Because people get trapped in Sattva Guna that they do. I am now Sattvic, so I will not say no, or I'll not speak loudly. No, you have to speak loudly when you have to. But at that time, you don't have anger. You shouldn't have anger. Yes, Manisha. All right. Kartiji wants to add something?
I think because he is currently in the battlefield, there is more negativity. There's more negativity around him as compared to positivity. So hence there's more chances of getting influenced by
Those
the negativity
negative
or
forces of
the forces of.
destruction, negative forces. All right. All right. Sindhuji is adding something.
Yes, sir. Because maybe it is easy to tell how good you should be than to explain how you should not follow those demonic things.
Yes, yes. Absolutely. Sindhuji has given one more interesting aspect. Yes. Again, how true it is, like Pandavas, 5 Pandavas, like our 5 senses, control them. You can take on 100 Asha Pasha Shatir Badhaha. The 100 bonds of desires can most of the time when we are fighting, we are surrounded all by different types of people, isn't it? At all times, wherever we go, we should be able to understand and relate. Otherwise, imagine now where I am in the village, I can't talk a word about Gita, I cannot talk a word about Sanskrit or anything about Vedanta because there the people are not interested in it. So I have to speak and deal with the language which they understand, isn't it? Where we are, when we want to do Loka Sangraha without Buddhi Bheda, without creating a divide, you have to understand the language of the other person also. Or it is said, Durjanam Prathamam Vande, Sajjanam Tadanantaram. This is a very nice mantra, Damli said. First, namaskar to the wrongdoer, Durjanam, because Pravachan will give pravachans, isn't it? He'll talk so many hours of how to do good things, how you should not be corrupt, how you should be like this, how you should think of the divine. Sometimes it has a good sanskara, sometimes it has no sanskara on the receiver. But when your neighbor suddenly gets caught by the police for corruption, what's going to happen? The entire apartment system will get worried. Some of them who are clear-headed will not have any fear. They will remain abhaya only. But those cats on the walls who are already thinking, oops, yesterday I was going to sign and approve that particular deal. I better not do this because if I do it, my story will be same as that neighbor. So you can learn, and Krishna wants his bhaktas not to be away from the world. They have to be grounded on earth, conscious, able to understand and deal with everybody without losing that consciousness also, without scattering the consciousness, which they are gathering with yoga bala and tapa. And that is why he's going to introduce to us about the undivine nature also, the demonic nature. We'll continue. Teja, Shama, Dhruti, Shaucham, Adroho, Natimanita, Bhavanti Sampadam Daivim, Abhijatasya Bharata. Radiating purity, showing forgiveness and valiance, not having envy or pride, holding a poised balance. O Arjuna, these qualities encompass a treasure inherited by those born with a divine nature. So this is an inheritance, the Swabhava, which we looked at, 3 shlokas, 1, 2, 3. People are born with these qualities. This is an inheritance. Radiating purity, teja, showing forgiveness, having a tendency to forgive, valiance, not having envy, not having pride, keeping that balance. These are all these qualities which can be considered divine. And interestingly, a person is born with some of these traits. Some of these traits, not all of these traits. How can one become Sarvaguna Sampanna? It is by cultivating, isn't it? What trait is not there? You can always cultivate that trait. The cranky person can decide, I don't want to be cranky, and start cultivating poise, balance, samatha. Then Krishna says a person can become transformed. And transforming the inner nature is real sadhana. And that person can be considered a sadhu also. Previously, we saw in the Gita how Ratnakar became Rishi Valmiki. He transformed the inner nature, isn't it? So this is the yoga of transformation. We have to transform our nature. It is a big challenge for somebody who is not having a trait to develop and cultivate that trait. But this is the truth. So what traits are there? Let us look at it. If you want, make a note of it in a diary. What are the traits in Shloka 1, 2, 3? Tick mark what is present, what is not present. Let that be your aspiration that that also is manifesting in me. Let me bring that into existence. But overall, it appears that people are born with certain overall traits. Either like we saw gunas, isn't it? There's either overall rajasic, overall tamasic, overall sattvic, something like that. Overall divine, overall demonic. So here we see one set. These are the qualities of those born with the divine nature. Now comes the demonic nature. Dambho darpo bhimanascha krodha parushyameva cha ajnanam chabhijatasya partha sampadam masurim. Krodha is also here as an undivine quality. Do we enjoy moments of anger when we are recipients of anger? It may be somebody who is our elder, somebody we love or whatever, respect. But when that person is angry, you feel, what is this? Sometimes people get so vexed and irritated that that moment of anger masks all their good deeds also. It's like, I don't care what good you have done. Look at this bad what you have done. Again, that is also a wrong thing. It's all right. People will behave in a wrong manner. We don't have to tolerate it. We have to not become punching bags for anybody's anger. True. But understand that's a nature. It's an undivine nature. But it is undivine. So nowhere do we see Gita telling us to allow our anger to let loose. It's actually beautiful because you see, this is a Gita is being taught in a warfield. Arjuna is going to take part in war. In war, there is a rush of, what we can say, the adrenaline, the rush of emotions, the hormones, everything. And it's a war which is for killing. And yet Krishna is saying not to have this anger. Means a flame is going to be there, a flame which is going to be powerful, and yet this flame is not going to burn the person bearing that flame. The person is going to remain calm and cool on the inside, cool as ice, when yet outside there is the fire, the tapa of fire is there. It's a very beautiful aspect that Krishna is trying to. It is difficult to manifest, but we must do it. Then we will be able to experience more than us. The ones around us will able to experience Ananda if we can control it. We will have that beautiful experience. We'll be able to harmoniously understand each other better. But that doesn't happen always because of egoism, ahankar. This person is too egoistic. I know that person has ego issues. This person has ego issues. This dialogue, I think everybody has heard, isn't it? Who is pointing out to the ego in the other person? Damleji says the ego inside of one is finding the ego inside of another. He had actually banned the use of discussions on ego itself. He said, don't talk about ego at all. Not your ego, his ego. Suddenly, then I have no ego. Who is that I who is speaking? I have no ego again. Again, it's ahankar, isn't it? This is a part of our srishti. We're all going to have this. Say, ego is a helper, ego is a bar. It will allow you to, oh, we are children of Sanatan Dharma. We will rise. Yes, that is true. I am a child of India. I am a Bharatvasi. Yes, Swabhiman must be there. I must have that Swabhiman. But that Swabhiman can easily turn into Ankar without our knowing that we must draw a line there. So, ego, let's just say go. No need to say ego, but in Tamil, e means fly. So ego, Amleji would say, let that fly go away. Forget about it. Don't give too much importance to that, but don't have it inside all the time. False pride. Again, another aspect, attachment. Because I am belonging to this particular cult, this cult is more superior to your cult. So what will happen is, the moment I get a chance, I'm having a false pride about my own cult, that will give me the strength to make fun of another person. But is that right? No, it's again Asuri trait. It's an Asuri trait. Have pride. My mother is the best mother in the world. Isn't that correct? Can I say my mother is better than your mother? That becomes wrong, isn't it? That is where, because for you, your mother will be the best and you have that right. I have the right to feel mine is better. But when I try to bring in, that is where I'm going, my false pride is taking over. That is not truth. And I don't think my mother will ever be proud of me trying to show that she is better than somebody else. Not at all. But that I won't understand when I'm having the false pride inside. So ego, false pride, a deceitful arrogance, deception. People use God's name to do deceit. Lip service only is, that is it as it is called. Lip service. Lip service to the divine, but only deception. That is visible, isn't it? So many times, he says, so close to the temple and yet so away from God. So close to the church and yet away from God. Because this is a nature, this is Asuri nature, and deceit is also a part of it. Just because somebody says God's name, initially I was to get so excited, oh, this person has said, right, this person is so nice. Then I would experience, then I would understand why my friends used to tease me in school. But anybody can fool you. So easy, just say this word and then immediately, oh, right, this person is so spiritual. And then I would understand afterwards, "Ki arey yaar, what is this? Why did it happen?" But this is a nature, this is Asuri Swabhava. Anger again, anger is not allowed. Don't ever justify anger anytime. No, I was not angry because of this. Many times in relationship, I get angry because I love you. This is a dialogue which is used. It should be I get angry in spite of the fact that I love you or despite the fact. It should not be because of it, isn't it? Or sometimes, if I don't shout at you, whom will I shout at? This sometimes parents use to children, isn't it? And a children's perspective should be understood at these moments. "Yaar, हमने क्या गलत किया है? Why do we have to bear what others are not bearing?" Have that samatha everywhere. Shout at others, we'll be more happy. We will also clap. But no, only at us. So this aspect of anger is actually a thorn in relationships also. Nowhere is it required. A teacher has to teach the student. He has to correct the student. He has to take out what is wrong. But if anger only comes in, no, then it's a problem. We will see later on Swabhava because outer aspect is different. Like Sureshji Sir was saying that Krishna got angry. Well, was he angry exactly? Maybe no. But on the outside, it appeared because there is something called Swabhava, the outer appearance. They say looks can be deceptive, isn't it? All that glitters is not gold. So on the outer aspect, when we study the Swabhava, it comes in the later Adhyay. That time we look at it. Otherwise, everybody will start calling Durvasa angry. Angry old man, cranky sage. Not at all, not at all. We are lucky he's not a Chiranjeevi. Otherwise, right now I would have got cursed for it. But he was connected with the higher divine consciousness, so the divine was working. In Maharashtra, there are saints who used to utter swear words, and people would go to listen to the swear words as if it's nectar. Amrita Vachana. Why? Ahankar would disappear when the Guru would speak because the Guru would speak truth according to the Swabhava. We're not talking about Swabhava here. People can be like that. Some people, you don't have to have goody people who speak only in a particular tone. Some Gurus may talk softly, some may talk sharply, some may talk in a manner which will disturb you, some may talk in a manner which may please you, but it's not that. You're not going to look at the outer mannerisms. But here we are talking about a Swabhava, Asuri nature. The nature which is the trait when this inside and outside it has taken control. Anger, there it is not required. Otherwise, outer aspects, it's okay. It's a mask. Emotions are your mask also, isn't it? They can help in every task. Sometimes they have to be shown, sometimes they have to be thrown, but you must, that recognition is required. So Krishna says egoism, false pride, deceitful arrogance, anger, harshness, and the vice of ignorance. Oh Arjuna, these are the qualities that define those born with the demonic nature and divine. Harshness and why? Harshness. Do we have to be harsh? Is truth harsh? Truth is harsh, isn't it? For somebody who is in the path of ignorance, even Satya is going to trouble someone because it will disturb a person. So when you speak the truth to somebody who does not want to hear out of a duty also, it is going to sound harsh only, isn't it? Do we have to add that malice? Do we have to add that what we can say? Already it is a sharp object. Do you want to make it more sharp? No, it's not required. Then that is what Satyam bruyat na bruyat Satyam apriyam priyam chanandrutam bruyat esha dharma sanatana. Speak the truth with tolerance. A doctor told a sister of mine, you have only 3 months to live. I think that was very harsh. It was not required to say that. But maybe someone will say doctor's duty, he should speak the truth. All right. Then this child was searching for hope, isn't it? When life is getting over, it is getting extinguished, you'll have to find a way, isn't it? Somewhere or the other. And a very close friend of my sister also, we had met her, and it was all very disturbing to just hear. I was like, why did that doctor speak that way? And luckily, the junior doctor then came and consoled her and told her, see, this particular medication for chemotherapy can help, and maybe there is hope. So she gets excited like a child does and goes to meet that senior doctor to tell that doctor, see, this doctor is telling that there's hope. And you know the response, what comes out? So now you're going to believe a junior doctor. What is that? That is arrogance and that is harshness, which is not required at all. There was no need to say that. And truthfully, 1 year down the line, she's made that doctor eat his words. With a good treatment, with a good care, but she has become free of it. She's now working very well and a new journey has started. So what we are trying to say is, where is the harshness? Is it required to be harsh? In meetings, you can disagree, but do you have to disrespect? Is it necessary to disrespect? No, it's not. Don't remove that harshness out of there. Many times it creates new sanskaras. People won't forget. You will create new battles unnecessarily with your words. Because you're creating a ripple, isn't it? Ripple in consciousness, which will remain in the world. Some people do enjoy doing that and then blocking the person online. But they're just blocking the person on the digital platform, isn't it? But in the Srushti, you have created a lie, isn't it? A moment of unnecessary, a ripple of consciousness. Somebody may require it, somebody may not require it, but let us not make it a modus operandi for us. We don't have to be harsh. Truth is harsh. Speak the truth. The person, even if you speak softly, it will sound harsh to someone who is in ignorance or is in falsehood. But our job is not to add that force. These qualities Krishna is saying are those qualities of those born with the undivine nature. We'll look at 2 more shlokas and stop. Daivi sampad vimokshaya nibandhaya surimata mashacha sampadam daivim abhijatosi pandava. By these qualities, divine liberation one can gain. But demonic nature ties one to bondage's chain. Oh Arjuna, be not under any duress. It is the divine qualities that you possess. So Krishna immediately reminds Arjuna also. First Krishna says, why these divine qualities? Because these divine qualities will allow you to become free. You will become free in life. You can become mukta. You can experience what is moksha as you cultivate these divine qualities. It's not that Krishna is going to, like in school, our teacher is to come and give a star, isn't it? In our notebooks. So you have divine qualities. So here I'm going to give you a divine like or something like that. No, it's not like that. It is going to help us become free in our lives. Our moments. What happens when we are free? Anybody? What will happen when we become free?
Peaceful.
Okay, we become peaceful. And basically we can do what we are meant to do, isn't it? Otherwise, अरे यार ये schedule है, ये tight हो गया, I have to do this work, I have to do that work. I'm not getting free time to do what I want. Imagine in life if you are actually truly free every moment. You can experience the beauty of every moment. You can experience the consciousness. Sometimes even gardening is a divine act, isn't it? Experience the divinity in gardening, experience the divinity in cooking, experience the divinity in talking to your loved ones. What a beautiful moment it is when you are with your loved one. These moments are very rare. We call this Durlabha moments in life. Some people who have lost their loved ones can see, Arey, yaar, these moments will not come again. But what about those who are having? Most of the time, they're not aware, not conscious, because they are busy, because they are not free. Free for what? For experiencing life only. That is where we need to have experience of mukti, of moksha. It is not something like after my death, I will become moksha, I'll get moksha, I'll have a halo, I'll be floating around from this place to that place. Nothing of that sort. In this life only, we want to become free, cultivate divine nature to experience free and joy, freedom and joy, experience that bliss of consciousness in every moment. But demonic nature is going to tie you into a lower consciousness, your life experience. It's like suddenly from standard definition to HD. HD is beautiful, isn't it? It's very clear. Things become clear. But in standard definition videos, we're not able to see clearly. As simple as that. Asuri Swabhav is going to, reduce the clarity of your life only. You will not understand. And what happens when you don't understand the finer details? You become confused, you become frustrated, and then you act in a very random manner at the mercy of forces of destruction, forces of what we see, the Prakriti. They are at play in this world. We must understand. The yogis were able to, consciously interact with the forces. What we don't fully see, the yogis can see that. There were stories of how Sri Aurobindo even used forces for participation in the World War, sitting in Pondicherry in his room for so many years detached from the world. He was working on a different level, a cosmic level. Like there is a beautiful quote, if at all the French Revolution took place, it was because there was a man on Indian snows meditating about equality, fraternity, and liberty. And so look at that. These yogis in a trance on the Himalayas having a consciousness effect somewhere else. Well, that is the game. When will we start becoming active players? Some of the sadhaks, even in their sadhana, as their sadhana has progressed, have been able to experience, some glimpses like telepathy, glimpses of I was able to connect with somebody else, and it was necessary to connect at that time. And I feel Krishna brought about that connection. When will that happen? When you are in that field. Otherwise, you are too busy to even recognize that there is a beautiful field like this in existence in this world. Too busy to be free, then you are going to be trapped and played around by the forces, not knowing about it, just in ignorance, thinking you're doing a lot, but actually you are running around like those chickens with vitamin B deficiency. They had aimless flapping. They go in circles, something like that. So we stop with one more shloka. But one thing Krishna tells Arjuna, don't worry, Arjuna, you have divine nature. This shows Arjuna's simplicity also, isn't it? Are is Krishna talking about me? Is the first question that came into his head probably. When he talked about Asuri Swabhava, Krishna could read his face and say, no, Arjuna, you are one with the divine nature. That's why you're hearing the Gita. Otherwise, you would not be. And that is why Krishna is parting the Gita to Arjuna. But I think that is also fine, and that's a good thing. Sometimes having these kind of doubts also allow us to remain grounded, isn't it? All the time. Think maybe yes, maybe I'm not so perfect. It's all right. Let me try. Let me become better. So we stop at sixth shloka. Do bhuta sargau lokesmin daiva asura evacha daivo vistarasha prokta asuram partha me shrunu. Oh Arjuna, all living creatures belong to one of the two natures. The divine I have just surmised and extolled, the demonic I will now state for you to behold. So we stop here. Krishna says, I have shared to you about the divine nature. Now I'll focus on what is the Asuri nature. So with this, we will continue tomorrow. What is the Asuri Swabhava? If someone can summarize what we saw today, yes, please. You can look at it and then conclude the Shanti Mantra, after which if any queries are there, you are most welcome. Yes, please. Anybody?
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Today's session included talking about the divine and the demonic natures present here. And Sri Krishna describes about the qualities of all the of a divine person, or the other divine qualities, like apayam, which is fearlessness, striving for inner purification, engaging in yoga with the knowledge, and holding all senses in control, selflessly giving and engaging in sacrifice, scriptural reading, ahimsa, truthfulness, and absence of fault finding are some of the gunas, like which are all called the divine qualities.
Yes, sir.
Some people are born with these qualities, and people can cultivate these qualities also to reach the path of moksha or attainment of the supreme or attainment of the supreme. Krishna also briefly touches about the demonic nature present also, and he also tells Arjuna that you are born with divine qualities. What he says. This is my understanding. This is my understanding of today's session.
Fine, sir. Fine, sir. Ji, sir. Perfectly said, summarized, Ramesh ji. So let us see, what is this Asuri Svabhava? Will it remind us of so many people, or will it remind us ourselves only? That is something we have to see. And how to overcome it also, probably Krishna will always guide us, so we don't have to worry about that. So with this, we conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyanto, ma kasyit dukkha bhag bhavet. Hari Om Tat Sat. Krishnam Vande Jagatgurum. Jai Shri Krishna. Any queries? You're welcome, or we'll conclude. Yes, please.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji. Namaste. Namaste. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir.
Hari Om, sir. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji.
Can I ask you one question? May I ask you one question?
Most welcome, sir. Always, sir. Please tell me, sir.
There is an instance in Mahabharata. Ashwatthama, when he released Brahmastra, Krishna became very angry and he punished him with his arrow and removed the money from his head.
Yeah.
Was it not the Krodha?
It was justice. It was justice. Because what was the reason for this? So many people could have been recipients. Shishupal Vada also. How many times? Divine forgives, isn't it? But justice is very strong. And when justice is being served, Krishna didn't have the krodha of what we can say uncontrolled rage. It was a controlled aspect, because what did he do was against the spirit of humanity, isn't it? Can it be tolerated? Everything else could have been condoned. And
he wanted to save the world, entire world, by stopping the Brahmastra.
Yes.
That's why he punished.
And also look at that. No, the Brahmastra was released to kill a child, isn't it? A defenseless child.
Yes.
How much worse can we can say this is a worst of worst Asuri Swabhava, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this has to be eliminated from the root. And that is why. But again, Mahabharata stories are best as an example is to focus on Gita more, because so many Mahabharata parallels sometimes gives enough fodder for debate.
Now, since it is associated with Krishna, I asked this question.
That is true, sir. Because that is true. That is true. It was not a wrong question at all. But this was the aspect, sir.
Justice and Krodha, there is a difference.
Yes.
We need to understand that.
Yes. When somebody is being unjust, somebody on the road comes and shouts at you something for no reason. I don't think you should get frustrated immediately because this person called you. Because what happens then? You will get reaction, you will get Rajas force. That person has probably a Tamas or Rajas force working in that person. You are reacting to that only. And it will spoil your mood. Your most happy moment can suddenly get ruined. But instead of that, somebody is coming to trouble you or trouble your family. That time you have to stand firm, isn't it? Maybe sometimes you don't have the strength physically to, may not have, because I cannot, like the person may be having a weapon or something. But so many cases are there where a person who is not physically strong but spiritually strong, he can ward off the danger. The strength of standing up, I think in so many this CCTV we see, isn't it? A mother, not very powerful, but a son is somebody is trying to kidnap. The mother suddenly gets the power to stand. That is not Krodha. That is where Abhaya has started functioning inside. In this case, somewhere else, when the person is giving justice also, growth should not be there. Growth should also not be there. Because you will become unjust without your action, without your knowledge. Anger also corrupts, just like power. So we shouldn't do that. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hari
Good.
Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Jai Shri Krishna.